Developments in South Suburban Dalton today. First, the state comptroller has suspended some payments to the village because it has failed to follow the law by providing financial reports.
Coming in, unfortunately, we knew it was going to be a little messy, but it's just something we felt important that had to be done, that should be done. But like I said.
Tiffany Henyard, the embattled mayor of Dalton, Illinois, is once again at the center of a scandal that is shaking the town to its core. This time, the allegations are even more explosive, with rumors swirling about a shocking new twist in the ongoing drama between Henyard and her former assistant-turned-whistleblower, Carmen Carlo. The latest development in this already chaotic saga involves not just corruption and betrayal, but something much darker, an alleged attempted murder. The whispers are growing louder, with some claiming that Henyard may have hired gang members to intimidate or even silence Carlo. The one person who allegedly knows all of Henyard's deepest, darkest secrets. The idea that a sitting mayor could be involved in such criminal activity seems more fitting for a Hollywood thriller than real life. Yet, the situation in Dalton has become so bizarre that many residents are starting to believe anything is possible. What was once a quiet, unassuming town has been rocked by a series of scandals during Henyard's time in office, each one more shocking than the last. From financial mismanagement to accusations of unethical spending, Henyard's leadership has been under intense scrutiny. Now, this latest development threatens to escalate the situation even further. Carmen Carlo, who once served as the mayor's trusted assistant, has reportedly turned whistleblower, leaking information that could implicate Henyard in various illegal activities. But the latest rumors suggest that Henyard's response to this betrayal may have gone far beyond typical political maneuvering. Allegations of hiring gang members to silence Carlo have sent shockwaves through Dalton, with some questioning whether the mayor's desperation to protect her political career could drive her to commit even darker acts. If true, these claims would paint Henyard in an entirely new light, one where her ambition and thirst for power could push her to engage in grave criminal activities. The people of Dalton are left reeling, trying to make sense of the latest bombshells, wondering if Henyard will ever be held accountable for her actions. As the investigation unfolds, residents are left with more questions than answers, and the future of Dalton's leadership is becoming increasingly uncertain. What was once a peaceful town is now at the center of a growing storm of corruption, betrayal, and even violence. The drama is far from over, and only time will tell how far the scandal will go, and whether Henyard will weather the storm. The controversy also extends to Henyard's use of a police security detail. Questions have arisen about the mayor's decision to take officers off the streets, ostensibly protect her, while public safety has reportedly taken a back seat. This decision has come under intense scrutiny, particularly in light of the allegations surrounding her former assistant, Carmen Carlo. Once a trusted confidant of Henyard, Carlo's dramatic shift from loyal ally to whistleblower has sent shockwaves through the town's political landscape. The reasons for Carlo's about-face are now the subject of intense speculation. To understand why Carmen's name is now synonymous with political intrigue, one must first consider her past relationship with Henyard. For a time, Carmen was deeply embedded within the mayor's inner circle, holding a front-row seat to some of Henyard's most sensitive dealings. As a key player in the administration, she appeared to enjoy the perks of proximity to power. Many even suggested that Carlo had benefited from questionable schemes, including the alleged misuse of city funds for personal gain. However, everything changed when Carmen made the shocking decision to turn on her former boss. Choosing to expose Henyard rather than remain loyal to her has been viewed by some as an act of self-preservation, rather than a noble stand against corruption. While some supporters see her as a hero, a whistleblower bravely standing up for justice, others accuse her of opportunism, suggesting that she only spoke out when it served her interests and when her position within Henyard's administration had become untenable. Carmen's decision to come forward has had a profound impact, bringing to light a treasure trove of damaging information that has only intensified the already mounting controversies surrounding Henyard's leadership. These revelations have shaken the foundation of Dalton's local politics, with accusations of financial misconduct, unethical leadership, and improper conduct now at the forefront of the ongoing scandal. It appears that Carmen's choice to expose Henyard has painted a damning picture of the mayor's administration, deepening the crisis and adding further fuel to the fire. Critics of Henyard, particularly those already frustrated with her leadership style, view Carmen's revelations as the tipping point. New allegations regarding mismanagement and fiscal irresponsibility continue to surface at an alarming rate, further eroding public trust in the mayor's office as the drama surrounding Henyard's administration reaches new heights. It is clear that Carmen's actions have not only complicated the mayor's already embattled reputation, but have also raised serious questions about accountability and transparency within Dalton's political system. While some view Carmen as a brave whistleblower pushing for accountability in a town plagued by scandal, others are more skeptical of her motivations. Was her decision to speak out driven by a desire for justice, or was it simply a calculated move to protect herself from a sinking ship? Whatever the case may be, Carmen's name is now irrevocably linked to the controversies that have plagued Henyard's administration. As the town of Dalton watches these events unfold, many are left to wonder just how far the ripples of these revelations will reach and whether they will change the course of local politics. Forever the trustees in Dalton, many of whom are now scrambling to determine their next steps, have been blindsided by the latest developments. Legal counsel has been sought to help navigate the ever-evolving landscape of Dalton's political crisis. With new questions and controversies emerging daily, the political discourse in Dalton is shifting, and it's clear that Carmen's decision to speak out has ignited a firestorm that shows no signs of dying down anytime soon as the drama unfolds. Dalton finds itself in the midst of a political earthquake, and the future of Henyard's leadership hangs in the balance. The coming days are certain to bring even more revelations, and the stakes could not be higher for the embattled mayor, her former assistant, and the residents of Dalton. The political landscape in the town is changing, and it remains to be seen whether Henyard will be able to weather the storm or whether the scandal will mark the beginning of the end for her political career.
A one-day purchase of over $40,000 to Amazon. And the main thing is,
Carmen Carlisle, once a trusted assistant and confidant to Mayor Tiffany Henyard, has recently become the talk of Dalton, Illinois. Her dramatic shift from loyal ally to whistleblower has sent shockwaves through the town's political landscape. To understand why Carmen's name is now synonymous with political intrigue, one must first consider her past relationship with Henyard. For a time, Carmen was deeply embedded within Henyard's inner circle, holding a front-row seat to some of the mayor's most sensitive dealings and decisions. As a key player in the administration, she appeared to enjoy the perks of proximity to power, with many suggesting that Carmen might have even benefited from questionable schemes, including the alleged misuse of city funds for personal gain at first glance. The situation seemed like a perfect alignment for Carmen, who was privy to the secrets and operations of an administration already under intense public scrutiny. However, everything changed recently when Carmen made the shocking decision to turn on her former boss. Rather than staying loyal, she chose to expose Henyard's actions, an act that many view as self-preservation rather than a noble stand for justice. While some supporters hail Carmen as a whistleblower bravely standing up against corruption, others accuse her of opportunism, asserting that she only spoke out when it served her interests and when her position within Henyard's administration had become untenable. Carmen's decision to come forward has had a profound impact, bringing to light a treasure trove of damaging information that has escalated the already mounting controversies surrounding Henyard's leadership. These revelations have rocked the foundation of Dalton's local politics, with accusations of financial misconduct, unethical leadership, and improper conduct now central to the unfolding scandal. Rather than protecting her former boss, Carmen's actions have painted a damning picture of Henyard's administration, deepening the crisis and adding further fuel to the fire. Critics of Henyard, particularly those already frustrated with her leadership style, see Carmen's revelations as the tipping point. New allegations of fiscal irresponsibility and mismanagement are surfacing at an alarming rate, further eroding public trust in Henyard's leadership. The drama surrounding Henyard's administration has reached new heights. As the information unfolds, it is clear that Carmen's actions are not only complicating the mayor's already embattled reputation, but also raising significant questions about accountability and transparency within Dalton's political system. While some view Carmen as a hero pushing for accountability in a town plagued by scandal, others view her actions with suspicion, questioning whether her decision to speak out was driven by self-preservation rather than a genuine desire to right the wrongs she had once been complicit in. Whatever the case may be, Carmen's name is now inextricably linked to the controversies surrounding Henyard's administration. As Dalton's residents watch these events unfold, many are left wondering just how far the ripples of this revelation will reach and whether they will change the course of local politics forever. The trustees in Dalton, many of whom have been blindsided by these developments, are scrambling to determine their next steps. Legal counsel has been sought to navigate the evolving political landscape, with new questions and controversies arising daily. The political discourse in Dalton is shifting, and it's clear that Carmen Carlisle's decision to speak out has ignited a firestorm that shows no signs of dying down anytime soon as the drama unfolds. Dalton finds itself in the midst of a political earthquake, and the future of Henyard's leadership hangs in the balance. The coming days are certain to bring even more revelations, and the stakes could not be higher for the embattled mayor, her former assistant, and the residents of Dalton. Compounding the crisis is a devastating investigation into the village's finances, which exposes a catastrophic decline under Henyard's leadership. Dalton, once financially stable, has gone from a healthy surplus of $561 million to a staggering deficit of $3.65 million. Henyard's actions have not only bankrupted the town, but have also made life increasingly difficult for its residents, who are now demanding answers and accountability. Her handling of the town's finances has raised serious concerns about how taxpayer dollars have been squandered, with little to show for it. Amid this financial crisis, Henyard, who often touts herself as a super mayor and people's supervisor, now faces a much more personal and dangerous threat. Her former ally, Carmen Carlisle, is testifying against her. So what is it about Carmen's testimony that has Henyard so rattled? For one, Carmen knows all the figurative bodies that have been buried throughout Henyard's administration. As the mayor's former assistant, Carmen witnessed firsthand and even participated in many of the questionable practices she now accuses Henyard of orchestrating. Carmen's inside knowledge makes her a potent adversary, one who has potential to bring down Henyard's entire political empire. Henyard's frustration goes beyond the fear of losing her position. It's a very real threat of facing legal consequences if Carmen's testimony holds up. If Carmen's evidence proves solid, Henyard could be facing serious criminal charges, possibly even significant jail time. Further compounding the pressure on an already fragile administration, however, it's not just Carmen's betrayal that has Henyard on edge. She is also contending with a growing list of adversaries eager to see her removed from office, including Lori Lightfoot, the former mayor of Chicago. Lightfoot has been hired to conduct a special investigation into Henyard's questionable spending practices. Despite Henyard's desperate attempts to block the investigation, calling it an unconstitutional infringement on the powers of the mayor's office, the town board overrode her objections, and Lightfoot is moving forward with the probe. This investigation, coupled with Carmen's bombshell testimony, has put Henyard in an increasingly precarious position, with the possibility of both political and legal ruin looming large as the walls close in around her. Henyard's desperation to maintain control is becoming more apparent. Her efforts to suppress the truth, however, seem to be unraveling faster than she can manage. The stakes have never been higher. Dalton's future is now uncertain, and the coming days will likely bring more revelations. The political storm is intensifying, and the embattled mayor, her former assistant, and the residents of Dalton find themselves at the center of a crisis that threatens to shake the town to its very core. Mayor Tiffany Henyard's political future now hangs in the balance as she fights for survival against an ever-growing tide of opposition. The findings so far have been nothing short of damning. Dalton's budget is in disarray, with numerous unexplained expenses suggesting large-scale misuse of public funds. What makes the situation even more unbelievable is how Henyard continues to operate with impunity, seemingly untouched by the mounting list of allegations against her. Despite the evidence stacking up against her, she still wields significant power in Dalton, largely unaffected by the consequences of her actions. Many claim that Henyard has built a fortress of loyalty around herself, relying on a combination of patronage, intimidation, and strategic alliances to keep both her allies close and her enemies at bay. But how has she managed to maintain such control in a town flooded with local police and federal investigators? One theory that has gained traction is that Henyard may have ties to the local criminal underworld, a rumor that gained further weight following the alleged attack on her former assistant, Carmen Carlisle. As the investigation unfolds, the town is left to wonder how deep the corruption truly runs, and whether Henyard's grip on power is as unshakable as it appears. The unraveling of Henyard's administration has set the stage for an explosive showdown. With Dalton's future now hanging in the balance, the town's residents are desperate for answers. The once powerful mayor's downfall seems imminent, but the question remains, how far will she go to protect herself and her legacy? With both political and criminal forces closing in, Henyard's fate appears uncertain. The town of Dalton stands at a crossroads, watching as the collapse of its leadership becomes an undeniable reality. Carmen Carlisle, once a loyal ally of Henyard, has now become the whistleblower who is shaking up Dalton's political landscape. Henyard's troubling misuse of taxpayer funds for lavish shopping sprees and luxury trips has raised serious questions about her priorities and accountability. If Henyard is willing to use public resources for personal indulgence, it's not far-fetched to speculate that she might resort to even more drastic measures to protect her position, possibly using local gangs to silence those who threaten her authority. While this theory remains speculative, it's not entirely out of the realm of possibility. Given a disturbing pattern of questionable spending, Henyard's apparent lack of accountability, and increasing violence surrounding her administration, this speculation has fueled suspicions that Henyard's hold over Dalton may extend beyond political maneuvering. There are whispers that she might be involved in criminal elements operating in the shadows, working with gangs or other illicit forces to preserve her power. As federal investigators and local residents continue to uncover the full extent of Henyard's alleged wrongdoing, the matter of her power, and the lengths she might go to preserve it, are becoming more uncertain. The threat of further damaging revelations is ever present. And with each passing day, the investigation inches closer to exposing the full depth of Henyard's corruption. Henyard's financial mismanagement, particularly her personal spending habits, has already raised red flags. Reports have surfaced detailing her use of taxpayer money for extravagant indulgences, such as first-class flights, five-star hotels, and even a high-end security detail more fitting for a major celebrity than a small-town mayor. These reports have sparked outrage among Dalton's residents, who feel that their hard-earned tax dollars are being squandered on a lavish lifestyle that offers no tangible benefits to the community. At the same time, Henyard's disregard for accountability and her hostile attitude toward those who challenge her authority have alienated many of her constituents. One resident during a town meeting expressed the growing frustration. Asterisk, you're not accountable. You don't respect people who don't agree with you, and you're not qualified for that seat. Asterisk, these sentiments reflect a mounting disillusionment with Henyard's leadership. Many believe her days in office are numbered, and calls for her resignation are growing louder. There is also increasing support for legal action, or even a recall election to remove her from office. The tension in Dalton is palpable, and residents are no longer willing to allow a mayor to continue running roughshod over the community. People are demanding justice, and the atmosphere is charged with urgency, as talk of protests, petitions, and an eventual push for Henyard's removal intensifies. The once thriving town of Dalton, which was once considered relatively affluent, is now burdened with significant debt and a growing population of disillusioned residents. Many feel betrayed by their mayor, who they believe has mismanaged funds and violated their trust. While the ongoing FBI investigation has focused on Henyard's financial dealings, it's uncovering more than just fiscal mismanagement. It's exposing a deeper web of corruption in which public funds were allegedly diverted to fund Henyard's personal indulgences. In light of these findings, the calls for Henyard's resignation have become even more forceful. Many residents now believe it is only a matter of time before she is removed from office, either through legal action or the will of the people. As the walls close and around her, Henyard's attempts to maintain control are growing increasingly desperate. The growing chorus of voices calling for justice is becoming impossible to ignore. The situation in Dalton has become a high-stakes battle for the town's future. Henyard's ability to maintain her grip on power is rapidly slipping away. The residents of Dalton, tired of being sidelined and frustrated by the corruption and mismanagement they witnessed, are rallying together to demand change. The era of Henyard's so-called super mayor reign may be coming to a close as the people of Dalton seek to reclaim their town and restore integrity to their local government. The unraveling of Henyard's political empire has begun, and while the outcome remains uncertain, one thing is clear. The residents of Dalton are no longer willing to stand by while their town is run into the ground by an unscrupulous mayor. The mounting pressure from the community, coupled with the ongoing investigations, is pushing Henyard closer to the edge. As her days in office appear numbered, the people of Dalton are prepared to take back control of their future. The ongoing investigations, amplified by new allegations almost daily, have intensified the scrutiny surrounding Henyard's actions. Federal investigators, state prosecutors, and even the Illinois Attorney General are all focusing their attention on Dalton. These investigations signal that Henyard's unchecked power is rapidly unraveling. Despite the growing pressure, Henyard remains defiant. She has made it clear that she has no intention of stepping down, continuing to deny all allegations and dismissing them as baseless attacks from political enemies and disgruntled former employees. However, the mounting evidence is making it increasingly difficult for her to dismiss the claims of dramatic shift in Carmen Carlisle's position, from Henyard's loyal ally to whistleblower, has only complicated the mayor's situation further. Carmen's actions have highlighted that the stakes have never been higher. The investigation into Henyard's actions is widening, with government officials now scrutinizing everyone around her. Fans and critics alike have voiced strong opinions about the situation. Some suggest that Carmen's role as a whistleblower may be more complex than it seems. One observer pointed out that a whistleblower is someone who comes forward voluntarily, but they can also be someone who has struck a deal with authorities to avoid prosecution by becoming an informant. In this light, the notion of Carmen being a hero is being questioned. Some view her not as a whistleblower, but as someone who is simply trying to save herself from facing consequences for her own involvement in Henyard's administration. Another commenter reflected a similar sentiment, suggesting that Carmen didn't apologize for her actions, but instead switched sides to avoid being implicated in the wrongdoing. This perspective underscores the complexity of the situation, which now involves not just one corrupt mayor, but an entire network of people who either enable her actions or turn a blind eye to the entire governance system in Dalton now appears to be on the brink of collapse. As the investigations continue, it is likely that more individuals will be brought down alongside Henyard. The situation is far from straightforward, and while some are quick to label Carmen as a true whistleblower, others suggest that her motives are more self-serving. The fact that many former allies are now coming forward with accusations only adds to the complexity, suggesting that Henyard's alleged corruption may have been far-reaching. Whether Carmen's role as a whistleblower is a genuine act of contrition or simply an attempt to protect herself from prosecution remains to be seen. As of now, the people of Dalton are demanding accountability and change. There is a palpable sense of anger and frustration among residents who feel betrayed by their mayor. Henyard's financial mismanagement, misuse of public funds, and arrogant disregard for constituent concerns have left many wondering whether the mayor will ultimately face the consequences of her actions. In conclusion, the situation in Dalton is rapidly reaching a tipping point. Henyard's alleged criminal activities, combined with the growing public outcry and ongoing investigations, suggest that her time in office is quickly coming to an end. Whether she will be removed through legal action or the will of the people remains uncertain, but one thing is clear. The people of Dalton are no longer willing to stand by while their town is run into the ground by an unscrupulous mayor. As for Carmen Carlisle, the question remains, is she a genuine whistleblower, or is she merely looking out for herself? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain, the drama surrounding Dalton is far from over,